Bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. As always, we are powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com, your one-stop shop for all things Lakers. Well, we've got a ton to talk about on today's show. The NBA draft has come and gone, and we're going to break down all the happenings, tons of things. Lakers had 3 picks in this draft. We had a lot of goings on during the draft. So Hannah Kulik from LakersNation.com is joining me to break it all down and talk about what a crazy day it's been. Hannah, how are you holding up after what's been a pretty long draft day?
Oh, man, I know. You know what? It's been a good day. I was just saying, I can't believe I feel like I just blinked and it's been like 7 hours later. I've been sitting in the exact same spot for what feels like forever, since like 3:50 today. I don't think I've moved once. So, I mean, but it was a good day. I think overall I am a little bit underwhelmed. I think like most fans, I was kind of thinking the Lakers were going to pull off a little sneaky trade or have something happen, but they didn't. It just was kind of, a straightforward draft. And it was one of the first drafts in, I think, what has it been, like 5 years since we've really had a lottery pick. So it was a little bit more of a different scenario for us, but I still think that we got some good guys. I'm excited. In particular, I'm excited about Moe Wagner. I think he's going to be a really good player. So I think overall, I think we got some good guys. What do you think about today, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a crazy day. Draft day, though, it's always one of my most enjoyable days of the year. I mean, I'm super excited every year for the draft, all fired up because there's tons of trade rumors and all kinds of things that are going around in the days and weeks leading up to the draft. And then the morning of the draft, you always just kind of wake up with that anticipation. Like there's that feeling in the air where it's draft day. It's finally here. I went through my normal pre-draft rituals and did all my stuff. I always make sure I take myself out to lunch on draft day if I have time, if I'm not super busy, and get something and just get ready for the whole experience, because the draft has so much happening so fast and there's so many rumors ahead of time. It's like you feel like you just lock in early in the morning and then you're kind of that way all the way through the draft. And then finally once it's over, there's this kind of letdown. And so that's the phase that we're in right now. We can finally exhale and breathe a sigh of relief because now we know who the Lakers picked. We know where all the dominoes fell, and we can kind of assess everything from here. I thought one of the most entertaining things of the night, though, was Adrian Wojnarowski. Did you notice what was going on with it? I mean, Woj is incredible anyway, but did you see all the things that were going on with Woj and what he was tweeting tonight?
Yeah, my Twitter was just blowing up with all of these tweets. So I think you explain it best. You were kind of filling me in a little bit on this because I was texting you and I was like, what's going on? So you were explaining it to me. So fill everyone in because this is kind of an interesting story.
Yeah, so Adrian Wojnarowski is of ESPN. He is known and beloved, maybe even a little bit reviled for every year on draft day, he plays spoiler. He's the guy who is tweeting out picks well in advance. If we're on the 4th pick, Wojnarowski has often tweeted out like who's going in the 7th pick by that time. He's that far ahead because he hears from his sources. He knows who's being picked, and so he puts it out there on Twitter. So everybody who's following along on Twitter already knows who each pick is going to be before Adam Silver has even said anything. But Wojnarowski came over to ESPN. And the draft show is televised by ESPN. And so ESPN said, hey, Woj, don't do that. We don't want you to tweet out the picks in advance. And I was fully on board with that. I thought, hey, cool. I wouldn't mind just watching on television and not having to worry about trying to keep up with my computer and stay ahead that way. Just watch it and be surprised when Adam Silver says each name. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. But then once the draft started, you had a few people that started to kind of tweet it out. Shams Charania was one of them. Mark Stein, one of my favorites, started tweeting out a few when he heard of them and things. And so a few of them were getting out anyway. And it's like Woj just said, okay, the gloves are off. And so he started tweeting out picks in advance, even though he wasn't supposed to. And other people had said they weren't going to either. But instead of saying this team is going to pick this guy, he kind of got around the whole thing. So he would say, the Lakers are unlikely to resist Moe Wagner with the 25th pick, instead of saying the Lakers are going to pick this guy. He came up with different ways to say it each time. He said zeroed in on one player. They had a laser on somebody, another team did. No plans to pass on. I believe that was the Utah Jazz with Grayson Allen. They had no plans to pass on him. They've cleared the way to select somebody. Every single tweet, he had come up with a different way to kind of get around it. And it was pretty entertaining seeing him come up with that. It was like Woj had like a thesaurus in front of him and was figuring out how to do it. So Woj definitely kind of stole the show. Although this time it wasn't because of Woj bombs. It was because of these tweets that he was sending out where he was announcing picks without officially announcing them. So it was like the little strategy inside of the NBA draft. So kind of a cool thing to follow along with. And the picks wound up getting ruined or getting spoiled anyway, even though there was this whole push to not do that this year.
Woj always stealing all the spotlight from the NBA draft. Leave it to him.
He's amazing. He's such a great follow. He's always just so on top of the news. But yeah, definitely kind of a funny little side note of what was going on. I guess before we get too far into the draft stuff, I know a lot of the what Lakers fans were excited about for today was the assumption that a Kawhi Leonard trade was probably going to go down. Because the Lakers and any team really trading for Kawhi, if they're going to be trading picks, like say the Lakers traded the 25th pick for Kawhi, if that had happened, the Lakers would probably, and the Spurs would probably want that trade to go down before the draft, or at least be agreed to in principle before the draft, so that the Spurs could go ahead and make that pick. Well, that obviously didn't happen. So we also heard from Ramona Shelburne earlier today that the Spurs had shut the door on trade talks with the Lakers, that the Lakers had actually contacted the Spurs about Kawhi Leonard, and the Spurs just said no. So this kind of leads to some questions about, are the Spurs even willing to trade with the Lakers at all? What's your take on this whole scenario, Hannah? Is this something where the Lakers should really be pushing to try to trade for Kawhi? I'm hearing a lot of fans saying that they would rather just wait till he's a free agent in 2019 than give up any of the young guys. What do you think?
Yeah, at this stage, I'm kind of more so leaning towards just waiting till he's a free agent in 2019, because the bottom line is that it's kind of a long shot that Kawhi is going to be traded to the Lakers this year, even if he gets traded at all. The Spurs aren't going to panic like the Cavs and the Pacers did last year when they traded Kyrie and Paul George. If we do trade for Kawhi, it's going to cost us a lot. It's going to cost us like a Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram and maybe even something else. And I'm really hesitant to get rid of those guys. I'm hesitant to really get rid of a lot of our young core. I'm kind of emotionally attached to them, and I really am excited about the young guys that we have. So I would really like to try to get, a free agent without having to get rid of a bunch of guys. If we have to get rid of one, I'll survive. But getting rid of two, maybe even three, is something that I really don't want to do. And, at the end of the day, we're hearing a new report and a new rumor every single day. So no one really knows for sure. Right now, the main story is that Kawhi has already said to other teams, listen, if you trade for me, I'm going to go to the Lakers next year regardless, so don't trade for me. Who knows if that's the truth? There's rumors out there every single day. I feel like I wake up and every single time I check my phone, there's 1,000,001 new rumors. So who knows if that's the case? But I think right now the Lakers need to be patient and not panic, because San Antonio is not going to do anything rash. They're going to really think this through, and I don't see them trading him right now unless we really throw in everything we've got, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at as well. I've talked to a few different people, and some have said, hey, the Spurs will probably want to make this move sooner rather than later. They're not going to want this hanging over their heads. And then other people have said the exact opposite. They said the way the Spurs operate is so methodical that it wouldn't surprise them if they held on to Kawhi Leonard until the trade deadline. That if they waited for him to prove that he was totally healthy and all that stuff, because there is still some questions about his health, and then opted to move him. So I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. And I'll say this too. The more I hear about what the young guys are doing this summer, the more wary I am of trading them, if that makes sense, of seeing them go out the door. Because this is what I've heard from talking to multiple people. I've heard Kyle Kuzma's summer workouts described in this way from people who would know. I've heard the word crazy thrown about quite a bit. I've heard beast thrown out there to talk about how his workouts have been. We know Kevin Ding did a phenomenal piece on Lakers.com, where it got into kind of Kuzma's motivation and all that kind of stuff. This guy is determined to really make himself something, and we see his name get thrown into a lot of trade proposals. I've also heard that Brandon Ingram is right there, that he and Kuzma are like 1A, 1B as far as who's putting in the most work or who has put in the most work this summer. And these are the guys that have really been stepping it up and have been just living in the Lakers practice facility. We also saw earlier tonight, Rob Pelinka in his press conference after the draft was over, he mentioned that Lonzo Ball has asked Magic Johnson on his own, just went and asked Magic, hey, can I pick your brain for an hour each week? Can we sit down and watch film together and talk about basketball for an hour each week over the summer? I mean, that shows that a guy that is forward thinking, that's considering his own future in the sport, considering his own development. I mean, that's huge, right? For a guy like Lonzo to be able to sit down with a guy like Magic Johnson. So you're hearing these wonderful things about these guys and their summer workouts. These are kids who really want to get better. And that it makes me hesitate so much to see them be shipped out, especially when the Lakers already have all this cap space and you don't know what Kawhi's health is. So I can certainly understand if the Lakers weren't ready to make that move just yet, given what they've been seeing from these kids so far.
Exactly. And, when you're seeing our young guys, when you're seeing Kyle Kuzma, you're hearing that he's reached out to The Rock to ask him to work out with him. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And even I was just watching the Rob Pelinka interview as well. And when, you hear that Lonzo's going to Magic and saying, can I pick your brain for an hour every day? Can we watch film together? I mean, these are guys that are young. These are guys that are hungry. And these are the kind of attitudes and the kind of characteristics that we want from our players. And we are seeing that with these young guys. These were some things that, I don't want to talk negatively about D'Angelo Russell, but that was something that a lot of people kind of, put down on him about, that he wasn't really showing that he was that hungry about it. And, we're seeing Lonzo, we're seeing Kyle Kuzma, we're seeing Ingram, we're seeing Josh Hart. I know they said has been in the weight room like crazy. We're seeing these guys put in the work and do all they can to try to be the best players they can be. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get rid of that. And I feel like our team right now is really special. I think this is the first time in a long time the Lakers have had this young core, and we're kind of in the process of developing something great, in my opinion. And I'm just really, really hesitant to trade that away. And I know it sounds crazy because Kawhi is one of the best players in the NBA, but at the end of the day, that's just kind of where my headspace is at.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be quite a balancing act if the Lakers do wind up with Kawhi Leonard. And of course, we know they're going to chase LeBron James. We know they're going to chase Paul George in just over a week here, right? When the calendar turns to July. So there's still stars out there. The whole Kawhi thing isn't dead by any means. I mean, that can heat up again in a moment's notice. But for right now, it looks like the Lakers are not going to be trading for him. But again, that could change very, very quickly. Let's get into the draft, Tom. This was the whole kind of focal point of the day was this draft, and we had some crazy stuff going on right away. I mean, the draft started in a different way than we've ever seen before, where they had kids line up on the stage and kind of form a little human tunnel, and then each of the draft picks had their name announced, and they walked out with their family. That was kind of cool the way they did that. It was almost like a pregame introduction. And then once the draft actually started, we started hearing early on about a trade. And obviously the Lakers weren't involved in this trade, but it was a trade between the Mavs and the Hawks. Luka Doncic gets traded. The third pick goes to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for the fifth pick, which ended up being Trae Young. The Atlanta Hawks got this, and a top 5 protected 2019 first. We don't need to spend a ton of time on it, but what was your thought on that trade? Obviously pretty high profile deal.
Yeah, Luka Doncic is one of the guys that's obviously had a lot of attention in the draft. He was projected to be one of the top 3 picks. He's regarded as being one of the most promising talents, although I tweeted earlier that it was funny. After every single player that was drafted, the commentators were saying, this guy has the potential to be, the best player in the NBA, the best offensive player. I mean, they were just saying the same thing over every time. I was like, if you guys want to play a fun drinking game, just take a shot after every time they say this guy's going to be the best player or has the potential to be, the best offensive player in the NBA or whatever. But Luka Doncic obviously is one of those guys. He's a very polished offensive talent. He can create his own shot. So obviously, Dallas is going to add them to their young core alongside, Dennis Smith Jr. and Harrison Barnes. So it's going to be a pretty exciting team. And then also, the Hawks were able to add Trae Young, who's also supposed to be a really talented offensive player. He's going to impact the game with both of his scoring and passing. So I think it worked out very well for both teams. But yeah, that was an interesting trade to start things off for this NBA draft for sure.
I love this trade for Dallas. I do. I just think it goes to show what they see in Doncic and what a lot of people see. A lot of people had him as the top prospect in this draft. And I mean, if you're Dallas and you believe this guy's a star, if you believe he's going to be a superstar, you do this all day, every day. Top 5 protected 2019 first. Well, who knows where that pick would land in 2019. If it's a really good pick, if the Mavericks struggle, then they'll keep it. Right? It'll be the second pick or third pick. If the Mavericks are really bad this year, then they'll keep their pick. And if not, if they're decent or if they make the playoffs or something, then you give up like a mid-first rounder or maybe it's still a lottery pick, but it's probably not a backbreaker, especially in next year's draft, which is considered to be a weaker draft. And the 5th pick, which is Trae Young, which is a guy that the Mavs don't need anyway because they already have Dennis Smith Jr. So to get a guy like Doncic in that trade, I mean, bravo to the Mavs. I think it's a great move for them. And yeah, impressive. I'm amazed that they were able to get him. A little bit jealous that they were able to get him, actually. The Clippers made a trade as well. They traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and sent Miles Bridges to Charlotte. So that was a move that they made. I don't think we need to talk about it too much. Just the Clippers got a point guard in SGA. And then they took Jerome Robinson at 13, which was way higher than he was projected to go, even though he was rising up draft boards pretty quickly. The highest I was seeing him was like the late teens, around like 19 or so. And they took him at 13, which, I mean, hey, fine if he pans out. The guy who fell the most, well, we saw Robert Williams fall quite a bit and Michael Porter Jr. falling all the way to 14. That was a guy that people thought could be the top pick in the draft. And he fell all the way to the Denver Nuggets at 14. When you see that happening, Hannah, you see guys that are supposed to go earlier and they're still sitting there and the camera keeps focusing on them. Do you kind of feel bad for them?
I do, but here's the thing about Michael Porter Williams. He's a 6'10" small forward, junior. He's a very talented player, and he would have gone much higher, but he had back surgery. Whenever you have back surgery, there's a lot of concerns, and so there's just kind of a little bit of speculation. I think teams are maybe a little bit more hesitant for that. Obviously, if that hadn't happened, he would have gone much higher. But yeah, I mean, you always hate to see guys who think they're going to go much higher, and they can't hide the disappointment on their face. But still going at 14 is still a great accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on one hand, yeah, you feel bad that they're still sitting there and they're not getting picked because everybody remembers that time in PE or whatever when they weren't picked, and so you can sympathize with them a little bit, but still. I mean, reality is whether they're 14 or they're 5 or the 5th pick or whatever, these guys, he's an instant millionaire. So you can't feel that bad for him, I guess. But still, it's always kind of a painful thing to watch guys that just kind of sit and they're still not being picked. Speaking of painful.
Oh, my goodness.
My gosh.
You're going with this.
Where am I going with this?
Oh, my goodness. Mikal Bridges.
Oh, God.
Yep, and Mr. Smith. Oh my goodness gracious! So Mikal Bridges is picked by Philadelphia, and then he is traded to Phoenix for, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Zaire Smith.
Zaire,
This was controversial because Bridges' mom works for the 76ers. She's the VP of Human Resources. When he was picked, they were so excited, and then you see him get traded. It was a little shocking, especially just because, and sad obviously for Mikal and his family, but it's also a little strange because he's supposed to be better than Smith, and Smith is supposed to be a little bit more of a project. So, but yeah, this was a little bit of a heartbreaker for me.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel for him and for his mom, right? I mean, the pick gets announced. She's got to be ecstatic. She's going to be basically working in the same building where her son's going to be every day. It's going to be really easy for her to watch him play. She's going to get to see all of his games and everything. They get to celebrate for a few minutes. I mean, it's 5 minutes between every pick. So they're celebrating for roughly, 20 minutes or so. And then the word starts to break. Oh, my gosh. Never mind. The Sixers traded him to the Suns, and he's going all the way out to Phoenix. I think I would rather live in Phoenix than Philly, to be honest, because I can't stand the cold weather. But still, I mean, he was going to be right there. And he was already picked by them, and then they traded him. And so that's kind of sad. He actually was doing interviews wearing a 76ers hat and had no idea he had been traded. That's another thing the NBA needs to do. They need to fix this thing where trades are accepted, and because they haven't officially gone through, you wind up with guys going up and wearing the wrong hat and stuff and acting as though they're still on that team when really everybody knows that they're not. The NBA needs to fix that whole situation. But yeah, so that went down. Bridges ends up actually going to Phoenix. Zaire Smith goes to Philly. But here's the scary part for the Lakers. They also picked up the Miami Heat's 2021 pick. And as of right now, they got that from the Phoenix Suns. As of right now, from what we know, that pick is unprotected. The Suns had it unprotected. They could throw protections on it for the trade, but we haven't heard anything about it yet. So from what we know, it's an unprotected 2021 first-round pick. Who knows what that's going to look like? That's just another asset in Philly's war chest now that they can use via trade. Maybe they go after Kawhi Leonard. Maybe they go after some other pieces. So that's a little bit scary there. The other thing that was kind of weird or ironic, I guess, about this is that the pick used on Mikal Bridges, the 10th pick, that originally was Phoenix's pick, because that was the pick that the Lakers traded to get Steve Nash. So the Lakers gave it to the Suns, and they kept deferring when they would have to actually give that pick because they kept retaining their protected first rounder. And it eventually gets transferred to the 76ers because the Suns traded it in a 3-team deal in order to get Brandon Knight. So ironically, the Suns traded for a pick that they used to have, but they had traded away previously. So they traded back for that same pick.
Everything just comes full circle.
I guess. All right. Hey, let's get into the Lakers picks here. All right. So 25 comes up. Hannah, you were watching. I'm assuming you were following on Twitter too, just like me. Mm-hmm. And the 25th pick comes up. Were you surprised when Moe Wagner's name gets called?
I was a little surprised. I honestly didn't expect it. I know a few weeks ago we did, or maybe it was longer than that, and it just feels like a few weeks ago, but we did a whole podcast kind of discussing some of the, draft picks that the Lakers were interested in, and I don't think we talked about him. So,
nope.
Yeah, he wasn't someone that I was really thinking about. I think what it came down to was a lot of the other guys, and I know that the guys that we had mentioned had been taken already. I know we saw Aaron Holiday get snagged a few spots before. So I think he was probably just the best guy available, but I'm actually really excited about him. I have a little joke that he's kind of like the future Dirk Nowitzki. You never know, but I think, they're both from Germany, so you just never know. But I think that Moe Wagner, it's interesting because he's from Germany and he was not really heavily recruited by any American colleges. But then he went on to become Michigan's hero during the team's NCAA tournament run this past year, and he led Michigan to the finals. Obviously, they lost to Villanova, but still, he averaged 20 points in the Final Four, and he shot 39% from three as a whole throughout the season. So those are really good numbers. He's a really good outside shooter. He's considered the best, or at least one of the best outside shooters among the big guys who were in this draft. He can stretch the floor. He can play with a lot of energy. He's considered to have a really high basketball IQ. And something that Rob Pelinka was really bringing up a lot in his interview was just how great this guy played in terms of his energy and what a great character he had, and how he just really fits the type of mold and the kind of vibe and atmosphere that Luke Walton and this team are building. And one thing that I do want to kind of point out a little bit, I'm sure you'll get into this in more detail though, Trevor, is while he is a pretty solid rebounder, he's not necessarily the best rim protector. And he kind of, to me, at least in the moment, sounds a little bit like a Brook Lopez. He has good offensive skill, but his defense is kind of lacking a little bit, especially for his size. Obviously, his defense is something that he can improve on, and that's going to be something that he's going to need to look to improve on. But again, then I was watching a bunch of interviews with him because obviously once the Lakers picked him, I wanted to get to know him a little better. And I really like him. He seems like a good guy, and he seems like he'll be a good fit for this team.
Hannah, why don't you just tell everybody why you actually first liked this pick? What did you text me?
I really like that they showed him crying. He seemed so happy to be with the Lakers, and that's what I love because I want a guy who really just wants to play for our team, and that was something that I really liked about Zubac. When I don't know if you remember when the Lakers first drafted him, I'm sure you do, but he was just so excited to be a Laker, and I got this same feeling from Moe. And so I don't know, when I saw them, the camera zoomed in on him and he was crying. I think his agent was talking. Obviously, I just got on the call for Magic or something. That's what it appeared to look like. And we see him crying. It made me feel good. It made me feel like this was a guy who was meant to be on this team. And so I like him. He has a fan in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously has the passion. We've seen him play with passion at Michigan, and he really cares. Obviously, he was overwhelmed by the moment, and that's totally fine. That's something that's to be expected. It was still a surprising pick because there were a number of guys that were still on the board, like D'Anthony Melton lasted forever in this draft. He ended up going to the Houston Rockets in the second round, but he was sitting around. There were a lot of guys that were on the board. You mentioned Aaron Holiday. Yeah, Eric Pincus tweeted out from Bleacher Report that something to the effect of him suspecting that the Lakers probably would have been in on Aaron Holiday. I'm a little disappointed they didn't get him because I liked what Aaron Holiday showed quite a bit, and Wagner wasn't predicted to go that early in the draft. But this is such a Lakers pick. It just is. The Lakers the last few years have done this, where they find guys that are projected to go later in the second round. They take them in the first round. Everybody complains. All right, I've already gotten a number of messages from fans and stuff saying what a terrible draft this was for the Lakers. And then in a few weeks, we're going to see these guys play at Summer League, and they're going to go, oh, the Lakers know what they're doing, right? I mean, that's just the way this is something that we've just been repeating the last few years. Last year it was Kyle Kuzma and Josh Hart, right? Everybody went, oh, crap, these guys really can play, right? Larry Nance Jr., same thing, right? Guys who were taken late in the draft, and then it turns out they're better than they thought. Ivica Zubac, right? He lit up Summer League his rookie season. Hopefully he gets a comeback this year. I did some digging, though, and I looked up Moe Wagner's stats at the draft combine, and I was tweeting these out. So if you follow me on Twitter, you already saw this stuff. But really, really surprising. I did not anticipate this because watching his film, watching him play, he looks like kind of the standard big, slow guy who can get out and shoot. Brook Lopez-like in some ways, but doesn't protect the rim anywhere near to the extent Brook Lopez does. He doesn't have that ability. But here's what I found. Moe Wagner, at the NBA Draft Combine, he tested actually faster than D'Anthony Melton. He was faster than him in the shuttle run and faster than him in the three-quarter court sprint. And in the lane agility drill, he had the exact same time. And D'Anthony Melton is a super quick guard, known for his defense, known for being able to cover guys and get back and everything. Now, I've heard he didn't have a great combine day that day. He might have been a little bit sore or injured or whatever, but still, Moe Wagner is almost 7 feet tall, 240 pounds, and he's keeping up with guards. That's impressive. He also had just a 6.75% body fat, which is pretty low for a guy that size, 241 pounds again. 6'11" in shoes, 7-foot wingspan means he's not going to be blocking a ton of shots. He only blocked 0.5 shots per game in college, so that's a little bit of a downside. But when you consider his shooting ability, the guy shot 39% from three in college. He's got really good footwork in the post. You put it all together and you look at what he brings. You consider the passion that he plays with, the energy that he plays with on the floor, and then you add in this lane agility stuff and how quick he's kind of sneaky quick as far as lateral quickness goes, and you start to put the pieces together and you can figure out what the Lakers saw. Right? You think about the Lakers and their defense and how they wanted to switch everything last season. Well, Wagner, he's not going to switch onto point guards all the time, but with that kind of quickness, he can at least show out on a screen roll situation and cover a guard temporarily and then switch back. At least gives you that option. If you think about Brook Lopez last year in screen roll situations, he almost always had to hang back into the paint because he had no chance to guard an opposing point guard. No way. He can't step out on the perimeter. They'll blow right by him. So he always had to sag into the lane, and then you wound up giving up jumpers, and that was an issue. So Wagner, you can see the switchability factor is at least there, and he's a sneaky athlete. I know the Lakers referenced his passing ability, too, as being better than they expected it to be. And that's sometimes happens when you're looking at these college guys. You find out that locked into their college system, it only lets them do so much, and then when they're kind of freed of that, coming out of college, they show skill sets that you didn't know they had. So I know that's kind of a long-winded explanation, but I'm not down on this pick. And I said going into this that I would not be down on this pick at all, whoever they picked, because the Lakers have earned that. They've earned that right because they've nailed so many picks year after year after year that I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to assume that he really is the best player on the board.
Exactly. I was actually just going to say, they could have picked anyone, and I was going to have trust in Pelinka and Magic just because of how, I don't want to say lucky. I know last time I said lucky and you didn't like that word, but just how fortunate and how smart we've been. I'll say smart, how smart and knowledgeable we've been with these kind of mid-20s pick. We saw that we got Larry Nance Jr. We got, obviously Kyle Kuzma. We got even Josh Hart, later on. So we've been able to get some really, really good guys at this, kind of late first round picks. And these have been guys that have been immediately been able to contribute. So hopefully Mo's one of those guys. I have a good feeling about him. I know, even especially after seeing some more videos of him and some more highlights of him and hearing Rob talk about him, I have a good feeling about this guy. So I know some Laker fans are angry, but you know what? All I have to say is go back on my Twitter and you guys should see what the tweets I was getting after the Lakers got Kyle Kuzma over Jordan Bell. And now look at it. Now everyone would rather have Kyle Kuzma. He's, the talk of the town. So hopefully, I'm not saying that this is going to be the same exact situation. I think obviously Kyle Kuzma, it's one of those, unbelievable, once in a lifetime experiences. I don't know, but I like Mo, and so I'm really excited to see him play. Hopefully he'll play in the summer league, so I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I think he definitely will. And you know what, I don't want to see people getting upset about this pick. I mean, everybody has the right to their opinion and everything, but at this point, I mean, the Lakers have nailed this pick so many times. You just give them the benefit of the doubt. And we'll see what this guy can do, because the shooting ability from outside, the ability to switch, or at least theoretical ability to switch, he's a pretty smart player. He seems like a lot of what the Lakers are looking for. Now, there are some questions, though, about where does he find minutes? What do you think about that? I mean, you've got, assuming the Lakers bring back Julius Randle, which for me, myself, and all the residents of Randall Island, we're hoping that happens, right? Kyle Kuzma, you've got those two guys eating up almost all the minutes at power forward. And then Randall probably picks up some minutes at center. Brook Lopez could come back. He already said he would take a discount if the Lakers had a championship team. So if the Lakers sign somebody, maybe he'll come back. You've got Thomas Bryant, Ivica Zubac sitting at center. I don't know how often you can run Moe Wagner at center just because he doesn't block shots. He can't really protect the rim all that much. So you're already looking at a little bit of a logjam, I guess. Does that concern you at all, Hannah?
It was actually interesting because that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, out of all the positions we could have drafted for, we drafted power forward where we're already so stacked at that position. So, Trevor, I hate to say this. You might kill me for saying this, but I don't know if this necessarily bodes well for Julius Randle. I don't know if this means that the Lakers think he's not going to be there this summer. I don't necessarily know. It is something that maybe is a little concerning. But then again, he may just play in our G League team. You just never know.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm not worried about it right now. Right now, I'm just trying to get over draft night, and I like him, and I think he was a good pick, and I'm hopeful that he's going to surprise some people.
Yeah, and maybe I'm being a little bit hypocritical, even even questioning where he's going to find minutes, because the mantra in the draft is always just best player available. You don't worry so much about fit. If you find a guy that you think is the best player, then you take that guy and you worry about fit later. So, yeah, I guess we shouldn't worry about that too much right now. Now, the Lakers also traded, even though it's not officially done yet, they traded for the 39th pick with the Philadelphia 76ers. They gave up some cash and the Chicago Bulls 2019 second rounder. And kind of an interest, I wasn't expecting them to go this way with it. I thought for sure they were going to use that pick to snag somebody who had fallen down further in the draft, like DeAnthony Melton or Keita Bates-Diop was still there. I think Melton had got taken right before, but instead they went a different way. They took Isaac Bonga at 39. What's your take on this? What's your take on him? Is he even coming over? What's happening here?
Trevor, I have literally no idea. When they did this trade, I mean, I think initially when they first made this trade, fans were really excited. And they were like, oh, this means something. Maybe we're going to, take all three of our picks and trade it so that we can move a little bit down, maybe get the 20th pick or something like that.
I thought that too.
that's what I was really thinking. And, then the draft started and obviously it wasn't going to happen. And then I'm like, all right, well, maybe there's someone that they think that they're going to be able to get. I thought that they were going to, kind of pull and swing for the fences and get Mitchell Robinson. But he
went
at
36.
He was picked by the Knicks a few picks before, kind of like Aaron Holiday was. So I don't know if maybe they thought that initially and then he just wasn't available. So they were just like, let's get this guy. I have no idea, because when I was trying to find information on him, because honestly, I hadn't heard of the guy, every single article just says that he's not considered NBA ready by a long shot, and he's probably just going to be stashed in Europe for a season or two. So I don't really know. It seems really weird that out of all of the guys they worked out, he's the guy that they chose. Maybe they saw something in him. Who knows? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I was certainly surprised. And you know what? It's possible that the Lakers were going to take these picks and move up, and just nobody was biting. I mean, that's not outside of the realm of possibility. Maybe they hoped Mitchell Robinson would fall to 39. Maybe they hoped somebody else was going to be there. I don't know. But as far as what I've seen from Isaac Bonga, another German player, so that's kind of interesting. You've got a little connection there. But he's pretty good at creating. He's fairly tall. He's the size of a small forward, but he pretty much plays point guard. The big question mark on him was his shooting. He's not a great shooter, and so that kind of goes against what the Lakers have been looking for. We knew they were looking for shooting in this draft, and with their other two picks, they certainly went after shooting. The other question, though, is he a draft and stash? Is he a guy that the Lakers are going to leave over in Europe to develop on somebody else's dime for a little while? Because he is pretty young. He's just 19, and so he's got plenty of growing to still do. So is he a draft and stash? And then why would you trade a second-round pick in the future for a guy that you're not even going to bring over right now anyway? Maybe they saw something in him they really liked. That's always possible, that they just wanted to take this opportunity to get a hold of him. But I also saw in a blurb on Sports Illustrated saying that they believe that he wanted to come over right now. And this was before the draft when they were doing a mock, so he wasn't connected to the Lakers at that point. But he said that he was looking for a team that would allow him to come over right away. So we don't really know at this point. We don't know what his status is, and the Lakers can't really talk about him because what's happened is the Philadelphia 76ers took in their limit, which I want to say it's either 5.1 or 5.3 million, in the amount of cash you can accept from other teams. They took in their limit for the 2017-2018 NBA season. So this trade can't officially be completed. The Lakers can't send cash. That was how they did the trade, was cash and that second-round pick from the Bulls, until the NBA calendar switches over to the 2018-2019 season, which won't be until after the moratorium ends on July 6th. So the trade can't be completed then, so the Lakers can't even talk about this guy, because technically he's not their player, and if they do talk about him, then they're tampering, and then we know that's been an issue with the Lakers in the past, so they don't want to deal with that again. So yeah, the Lakers can't even tell us exactly what it is that they like in him just yet, so he's going to be a man of mystery for a little bit, but I am hoping, Hannah, that he winds up coming over for Summer League, because I sure would like to get a look at him.
Yeah, no, same with me, because like I said, I really don't know that much about him. And so hopefully maybe he'll come over for Summer League. Who knows, Trevor? But again, I'm trusting Magic and Rob on this one. They haven't let me down so far, at least yet, but you never know.
Okay, so the Lakers also had the 47th pick in this draft. And okay, the Lakers are looking for shooting, right? And they ended up drafting Svi Mykhailiuk. And I mean, just saying his name obviously is not super easy. My initial thought was, oh my God, the Lakers are trying to kill me because I'm going to have to type this name all the time when I'm writing for Lakers Nation. I'm sure it's really not all that difficult, Mykhailiuk, but spelling it over and over will take a little bit of getting used to. But they were looking for shooting, and my goodness, did they find a shooter here. Hannah, what did they get in this guy, and are you excited? The more I look into him, the more excited I am about this pick. Where are you at with it?
It's so funny, Trevor, because when they put his name on the screen, I was like, is this a joke? Is this the alphabet? Like, what is this? But yeah, I mean, when you break it down, it's not that hard to say Mikhailiuk. It's just going to take a few practice, and then it'll just roll off the tongue easily. Right. But yes, he is an amazing outside shooter. Obviously, like we just discussed, the Lakers' main goal was picking up shooters, and he's supposed to be one of those knockdown shooters. He shoots 44% from three. That's really, really good. So Again, I'm sure he's going to be another one in the summer league. We're going to be able to see a little bit more of him. I don't know too much about him, but seeing some of those numbers, I mean, 80% from free throw, 44% from three, though, that's something that really excites me.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of guy that the Lakers really needed. They struggled with their outside shooting last season. And, at 47th pick, that does not mean he's even going to be on the team, right? There's no guaranteed contracts in the second round or anything, but the Lakers are one of those teams that puts a lot of stock into their workouts, into their own personal workouts. I mean, they certainly take a look at a player's college season. And at Kansas, Mikhailiuk certainly had a solid season at Kansas, but they also put a lot of stock into their workouts. They would like to find guys who are tough, and they found that in Mikhailiuk. They loved the way that he competed. They loved the way that he didn't back down from guys. Rob Pelinka even referenced him getting switched on to Marvin Bagley and accepting that challenge and not backing down. That's not to say Mikhailiuk is a good defender. That's his big knock, is that he's not a good defensive player. But he's at least tenacious, and he's going to give it everything he's got there. And then you throw in the shooting ability with the fact that he's 6'7", and he can get out there and really shoot the ball. That's something that the Lakers really need. So hopefully he's a guy who can stick around. Big picture, when you're looking at this, and you see Moe Wagner and Mykhailiuk, and we don't know about Bonga. We don't know if he's coming over for sure or not. But you look at those two guys, that's a decent amount of shooting that you've just added to your squad. And if this Lakers team is going to add a guy like LeBron, which, I mean, it feels like that's the way things are going. Can't say for sure, but it seems like the Lakers, at the very least, they have a legit shot at adding him. What kind of players do you want around LeBron? You want shooting. You want shooters. So not only did the team need shooters on their own anyway, but as far as selling free agents, you can say, look, we're actively doing things to bring in shooting around you to guys like LeBron and Paul George and stuff. So that's pretty important too. Not that rookies are going to hold a whole lot of sway in LeBron's mind or anything like that, but it shows the Lakers' mindset that they do want to improve with their outside shooting. And Mykhailiuk, I think, does indeed do that. And maybe he can be kind of this generation's Sasha Vujacic or something like that.
You mean Mykhailiuk isn't the guy who's going to steal us LeBron? What?
Yes, LeBron saw that we got Mykhailiuk, and he instantly said, I'm signing with the Lakers. That's it.
But all right, he told the family, get up, we're moving, we're going to LA. I got to go play with Mykhailiuk.
No, I don't think he's the guy that's going to really tip the scales. But still, I mean, I'm interested in seeing this guy in Summer League. I keep thinking about Summer League because I'm so excited for it. But, I mean, you've got these shooters like Mykhailiuk. You got Moe Wagner's going to be there. Josh Hart will be there. Guys like that are going to be really playing. Alex Caruso, of course, he's still on a two-way contract. We should mention that his two-way contract actually extends into this next season, which is pretty cool. So they'll get him back. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be kind of a fun group to watch. And you know what? The Lakers have hit it out of the park in the last few drafts, and hopefully they did the same here this year, even though a lot of people are down on what they did.
Exactly. I'm a little bit more excited about Summer League now. Obviously, draft day just kind of gets you really pumped for it. But also just because I didn't expect the Lakers to get these two guys or, maybe possibly three, these guys, though. And obviously, I didn't really know who they were going to get. I had a few theories. I had a few guys that I thought would possibly be picks, but these were not them. So I'm very interested to see these guys play just because I don't know too much about them. But just from watching some of their highlight reels, they do seem like pretty good players. And like we've been discussing, the most important thing for the Lakers was just getting these three-point shooters or just shooters in general. And we were able to do that tonight.
Wait. You know what? I think maybe we need to backtrack a little bit because there may be something they did that was more important than getting these shooters.
Uh-oh, what was it?
The Lakers did not draft LiAngelo Ball.
Oh my goodness gracious. LeVar Ball, we're going to have to talk him off the ledge.
I really wonder, there hasn't been any announcement about this just yet, but I wonder if he's going to wind up on the Summer League team. It could happen.
Oh my, he might. I don't know if I really want to, though. I'm really over it, Trevor, if I'm being quite honest. I'm over it.
You're ready to get off the LeVar Ball hype train.
Yes, I have definitely ready. I'm moving across the country as far away from it as possible at this point.
All right, well, we've got one last news item before we get out of here. The Lakers made another move right after the draft. when they signed, they have Alex Caruso in one of their two-way contracts, which means they have one more left open. And just as a reminder for everybody out there, two-way contracts were a new thing that came about last season, and they work this way. This player is allowed, anybody that's on a two-way contract is allowed to move back and forth between the Lakers and the South Bay Lakers, their G League team, as often as they'd like. And while the G League season is in effect, is in season, they can play a maximum or be with the parent team, the Los Angeles Lakers, in this case, a maximum of 45 days. So Alex Caruso can play with the South Bay Lakers, but then he can also go up and play with the Los Angeles Lakers, but he can only be with them for a maximum of 45 days. He makes more money on his contract when he is up with the Los Angeles Lakers, and but he still makes more as a South Bay Laker than a standard G League contract would provide. So there's some incentive there for a player to take one of these two-way deals, and ultimately a two-way deal could be converted into a regular NBA contract if you were going to give them a full roster spot. The Lakers and every other NBA team essentially have 17 roster spots instead of the 15 that they used to have before two-way deals, because those two-way deals occupy those two extra spots. So with that said, the Lakers added another Kansas guard. Mykhailiuk was one, and they added Malik Newman. It was announced after the draft that Malik Newman has signed a two-way contract with the Lakers. This is, I think it's an interesting one. He, from watching a little bit of his game and his stats and everything like that, seems like a decent fit. I have a few concerns, but Hannah, what's your take on this?
Yeah, it was something that was a little interesting. He's a guard. I originally expected the Lakers to look to add maybe more guards, but obviously he kind of went the other direction. But he is an undrafted guard from Kansas. He was kind of projected to maybe possibly be one of the last few spots, but obviously he went undrafted. He's supposed to be a pretty good shooter, though. I mean, he was 42% from three. That's pretty dang good. He's an 84% free throw shooter. So, again, it just kind of fits that mold of the Lakers are looking for shooters. They need shooters. And so this could be a nice little pickup. Who knows? Yeah,
I mean, this is a guy who he's only 6'3", and he's not really a true point guard. He's more of a scoring guard. So he's like kind of a microwave guy off the bench. A two-way contract, there's no guarantee that he's going to hit or anything. I mean, remember, Vanderbilt had a two-way contract last year, and the Lakers ended up releasing him. And then Gary Payton II had a two-way contract. And obviously, it looks like he's not going to be coming back. So Malik Newman, it's worth a shot. The guy shot 42% from three. The Lakers need shooting, 84% from the line, pretty crafty getting to the rim, decent athlete. I mean, if this guy was a few inches taller, then he'd be easily getting drafted. But he's just kind of undersized, an undersized two guard, and there's a lot of those. And so yeah, we'll see what he's got. I think he's a guy that'll fit really well in the G League, because the G League has this style of play that's going to really suit him. So whether or not he actually catches on with the Los Angeles Lakers instead of the South Bay Lakers is yet to be seen. I know defensively there's some major concerns about him. But still, I mean, if the guy can shoot this well, he's at least worth a look. And obviously, this is something the Lakers had set up in advance, so he was a guy that they really liked. Again, hey, the Lakers needed shooting, and that seems like something they've definitely addressed in this draft, at least to the best of their ability at this point with the picks that they have.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of fans right now, I'm even looking at my tweets, and a lot of them are feeling like this was just a very underwhelming draft. And some points, I can agree. But like I said, I think the last 5 years or 4 years, we've just became accustomed to getting these super high picks, where we had the last, we had the number 2 pick the last, I think, 3 years. And then we had Julius Randle, number 7. So we've kind of been accustomed to getting these super high picks. And, once you get into these mid-20s, it's kind of, you can go either way, and no one really knows for sure. You got to just take, like we've been discussing, the best player available, and I think the Lakers did that tonight. So I'm excited. I feel like overall we got some good shooters, which was our main goal, and we'll be able to see some more of them in Summer League. So it's all looking up right now, and oh my goodness, now we just got to focus on free agency.
Free agency is definitely going to be a whirlwind. Yeah, I mean, hey, I was disappointed the Lakers didn't take Robert Williams when they took Moe Wagner, but you know what? I was underwhelmed when they took Larry Nance Jr. I was underwhelmed when they took Kyle Kuzma, Ivica Zubac. When they picked him, I was like, "What? Why are they picking him?" I remember in all cases, I had other guys I was hoping they would take. And the whole thing with this draft has been that the guys that are ranked 15 through 40 could really fall in just about any order. That they felt like there was this group of guys that all could be anywhere in there. You could find a guy at 35 who was just as good as the guy you drafted 15. That was the word on this year's draft class. So you really can't, I mean, looking at the Lakers' history and the way this draft is, can't fault them for what they did. Let's see how it all plays out before we feel too underwhelmed or anything like that. And, of course, remember, free agency is just a little over a week away. Next thing you know, we're going to be up all hours of the night waiting to find out where LeBron goes and where Paul George goes and all that stuff. So, yeah, there's still a lot going on in Lakers land, and a lot for them to do before they're ready for the regular season to start.
Oh, yes, and according to reports, we are getting all three, so it should be a very exciting offseason.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if they actually get Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James and Paul George, they're going to have to gut their roster to do it.
Right.
But, man, certainly would keep things interesting around here, as though they aren't interesting enough already.
Exactly. Every day a new drama with the Lakers. But that's what it is, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm so excited to get this free agency started. I feel like we've been talking about it for forever. Everywhere I go, that's all anyone ever wants to talk to me about. So I'm so excited to just be able to be like, look, it happened, or nothing happened, and we can move on from it.
All right. Well, Hannah, why don't we call it a night here? It's been a long day. NBA draft day is always a long experience, but a ton of fun. I'm exhausted. I know you're probably exhausted. And so, yeah, let's wrap things up here, and then we'll touch base with you again as we get closer to free agency and see where the Lakers summer goes. Thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, Trevor.
Guys, and make sure you go follow Hannah on Twitter, at Hannah_Kulik. Always a good follow on there. That's going to wrap things up for us today. For the latest breaking Lakers news, make sure you head over to LakersNation.com. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Trevor_Lane. Till next time, see ya.